Idaho News Edition for YouTube. Don't forget, this is for people that are on YouTube. My official channel is on bitshoot.com. Please go there to sign up. I have a lot more content over there exclusively. It's just better over there. So, the Idaho State Board of Health and Welfare has scrapped a temporary rule requiring transgender minors to get a doctor's approval before changing the gender listed on their birth certificate. The Idaho Press reports that board chairman Darryl Kirby announced the rule was being vacated on Thursday. The move came after a closed-door executive session with attorneys, where board members learned the rule had actually required 4 votes to go into effect. When they voted on the rule last spring, they believed it passed with 3 yes votes and 1 no vote, and 1 member abstaining. The rule went into effect on a temporary basis in July until it could be reconsidered for permanent approval by lawmakers in the 2020 legislative session. In 2018, a federal judge ruled that Idaho violated the constitutional rights of 2 transgender women who were denied permission to change the gender on their birth certificates to match their identity. Idaho complied with the court order, but the Board of Health and Welfare created the rule requiring a doctor's sign-off for minors a short time later. Previously, only parental permission was required. The Department of Health and Welfare received public comments from numerous Idaho residents across the state who were upset that people would be allowed to change the sex listed on their birth certificates at all. Meanwhile, attorneys for the women who sued in the first place objected to the rule, saying it would violate the judge's order as well. Boise Republican Senator Fred Martin, the Senate Health and Welfare Committee chairman and non-voting member of the state board, said he'd hoped the rule would represent a compromise from the state lawmakers, or that the state lawmakers could support. He said some lawmakers want to propose legislation that to me would be problematic in requiring even test of DNA or chromosome tests to determine the sexuality, and that's the only sex that can be on birth certificate. Kathy Gismeyer of the American Civil Liberties of Idaho said such measures sound scary and would likely be a conflict with the judge's order. Yeah, if you want to change your birth certificate, yeah, you need DNA and chromosome test. This isn't Heyburn receives grant to help with wastewater management. The city of Heyburn's drawn-out water issues with the Environmental Protection Agency will finally be coming to an end, thanks to a grant to improve their wastewater services. The city has received more than $3.1 million from the 3 grants to help improve their wastewater management systems. KMVT previously reported in 2018 that the EPA found the wastewater treatment plant was not compliant and was cited for almost 600 violations, and that the city could face bankruptcy to pay for the necessary upgrades. Heyburn City Administrator Tony Morley broke down the numbers for the grants. One was USDA for over $2 million, one from Community Development Block Grant for $500,000, and one from the Army Corps of Engineers for $700,000, Morley explained. The grants will save Heyburn taxpayers $3.1 million. However, they will still have to pay back a little more than $5.5 million of the $9.6 million. 2 grants for community development. City of Rupert is continuing to grow thanks to 2 grants they recently were awarded. Rupert was just one of 6 cities getting approved for the grants, all of which were reviewed and recommended by the Economic Advisory Council. And finally, approval by Governor Brad Little. The Community Development Block Grants are federally funded grants to benefit economic development projects in Idaho cities and counties. The other cities approved include Fruitland, American Falls, and Chalice. KMVT talked to the city's chief financial officer, Jeff McCurdy, who explained that the grants will be used for, the first one being for more than $400,000. That grant we applied for the help with new businesses that is looking to expand here in Rupert area. It's a food manufacturer, which will create new jobs in our community, McCurdy stated. The other grant for $150,000 will impact the city as well, a pickleball court in Neptune Park. Earlier this year, we had some citizens come to us saying that they would like to have some pickleball courts here built. You know, pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports across America, and that's no different here in Mini-Cassia area, McCurdy explains. I don't even know what pickleball is. Failed jail bond leads to exploring new options. After the Twin Falls County jail bond failed to pass with a supermajority, county officials are in search of a new solution to their jail overcrowding dilemma. Since the election, officials have put together a subcommittee to begin exploring what should be done next. Other Twin Falls media outlets reported on the possible budget cuts being taken into consideration, but county officials tell KMVT that this committee plans to look at some options like renting out units. A company has begun producing these units on November 1st, but they still are in the negotiating phase. What would cost us to rent some of these units and then include manpower and food and medical of all those other costs in there would also be able to absorb that into our budget, because we're still also looking for and paying for out-of-county housing for inmates also, Jack Johnson, Twin Falls County Commissioner. At this point, Twin Falls County has no intention of cutting services of any kind, and may even put the bond back up to be voted on sometime in the future. I was talking to some people, and they were telling me that every time that they pass one of these bonds, they squander the money. So, and I think that's why people rejected this bond. Fuck, I didn't even have it on record. Welcome to the last story of Idaho News. Risch says Turkey sanction bill is back on, with Erdogan not budging on Russian missiles, by Betsy Russell of the Idaho Press. There's Senator Risch on the right, in the red tie right there, next to that woman. Idaho Senator Jim Risch said Friday afternoon that he'll move ahead with the Turkey sanctions bill he is co-sponsoring with Democrat Senator Bob Menendez. After negotiations after Turkey's deployment of a Russian missile system apparently came to naught. It doesn't sound like they're going to go ahead with the negotiations, Risch said. He noted that Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan told reporters on his way back from Washington, D.C. to Turkey that he'll go ahead and deploying Russian S-400 missiles. He said on the plane that he was going to keep the S-400s no matter what, Risch said. Well, if that's the case, then there's really nothing to talk about. In the news release issued late Friday afternoon, Risch said, if he is firm in his position on keeping the S-400s, I intend to move forward with the Turkey sanction bill. It is his choice, and he knows the consequences. President Donald Trump brought Risch and 4 other GOP senators to the White House for a meeting with Erdogan on Wednesday. During the session, all 5, including Risch, pressed Erdogan on the Russian missiles and on Turkey's incursion in northern Syria. Trump, Risch said, has a good relationship with Erdogan. During our time with Erdogan, he sat right there. He stayed out of it and let us go round and round with Erdogan. He did not correct us. He did not try to rein us up or anything like that. During the course of 90-minute meeting, Erdogan showed the senators a 3-minute video described as a propaganda film, which he used to press his point that he believes the United States' Kurdish allies in the region are terrorists. Risch said the video showed women and children being killed in terrorist attacks. He's absolutely right on that, Risch said. But you can't put all terrorists in the same camp. There's terrorists in lots of different countries, but you don't put every person of the same ethnicity into that bucket. I'm confused. Risch said if Turkey persists in moving to deploy the Russian missile system, it can't purchase F-35 jets. Hold on. That paragraph, if they're a terrorist, aren't they, like, wouldn't that be the same category? Like, am I missing something here? The F-35s are NATO airplanes, and they are not compatible with the Russian defense system, and we can't allow them in the same country, Risch said. I think he's still not believing us. As the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, I have to sign off on military purchases that go overseas, and I told him I will not sign off on them, Risch said Friday. So this is not going to happen. He is not going to have the S-400s and the F-35s. That alone would be a significant economic blow to the Turkish economy, Risch said. It's hard for me to believe that he really wants to take on the repercussions that are going to come from this, Risch said. Not getting the F-35s is a big deal. The F-35s have thousands of parts, and about 900 of them actually have been manufactured in Turkey, Risch noted. So that's going to end. That's several $1 billion that's coming right of their economy immediately. The other 4 GOP senators who attended the White House meetings were Senator Lindsey Graham, Rick Scott, Joni Ernst, and Ted Cruz. After the meeting, Graham told the AP that after Erdogan showed the senators the video, Graham asked Erdogan, "Do you want me to get the Kurds to play a video about what your forces have done?" You know what? That's so funny coming from our politicians. Because that's exactly how it is with the left and the right. Each ideology has their own little propaganda vision of what the left is or what the right is. Anyways, I'm very ignorant on foreign affairs. I'm not that knowledgeable, but so I'm just reading the article on face value. Take it. Okay, I know in the last story I said it was the last story, but this is the last story. So Coeur d'Alene politician retires after 50 years of service. Now, I'm on the fence about how long he's been in service. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, from the AP. Coeur d'Alene politician Ron Edginger is retiring after 5 decades of service to the northern Idaho city. Edginger is a former mayor who was elected 12 times to the Coeur d'Alene City Council. Spokesman Review reports that a crowd of supporters celebrated his career on Thursday evening. Edginger's political career is scheduled to end in January when he is replaced by Christy Wood on the city council. Edginger was the first elected to the city council in 1967. He says his decision to step down was driven by health concerns and that he'll miss the job. Anyways, I just wanted to state that I don't believe people should be allowed to serve as our political masters for that long. We really need term limits from local all the way to federal. With time and power and money comes corruption, and there's just no escaping it. All right, like, subscribe, share, comment, donate. Don't forget, I am mainly on my BitChute channel, so please check that out. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll see you guys in the next video.